what? Yay! James and James, Daily Freak Show! Wow!
Freak show, freak show. Ask yourself now, can you forgive her?
I'm sitting here with a legend in the drag community, an icon of the 60s counterculture, the one, the only, flawless Mother Sabrina, who has been around since the dawn of creation, who is so far ahead of the curve that people think she's around the bend. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's you kids keep me alive, child.
But now listen, you go back way back.
Before water formed.
Right? Antediluvian, before the flood. In the 1960s, you were responsible for the documentary The Queen.
Yes,
it
sir.
was The Nationals, I believe, is what you called it, right?
Yes.
And you knew all the girls of the 60s, the Dorian Coreys, the International Chrysis. You knew Candy and Holly and all those girls.
I just saw Holly yesterday. We went to see Joan Rivers' movie together.
You know, you and Holly are like the last of those
That's my baby.
She is so gorgeous. But who of those girls do you miss the most?
Most was Chrysis.
I got to know her a little bit near the end when she was working at Danceteria when I first moved to town. And I've seen the pictures of her when she first moved to New York, and she was a stunner as a 16-year-old.
Inside, outside, and sideways. That girl, oh my God, what a magician.
Right?
What a magician.
Now, when you did the movie The Queen, tell us who some of the judges were. It was a drag queen contest.
And it was Larry Rivers and Andy Warhol and the guy that invented acid, which was Dr. Ralph Metzger. Timothy Leary was there. He was not one of the judges, but he was there. Terry Southern was one of the judges.
I've heard Judy Garland.
Judy Garland had been a judge, but she wasn't a judge on The Queen. She had been a judge at many of my contests.
And Truman was one of them too.
Truman, yes.
Now this boggles my mind. You were just able to call these people up and say, did you know them? How did this happen? How did it come about?
The same miracle that brought you to be right here and the privilege of being with you, my friend. Just a lucky old duck.
Right. It seems to me that was like such a moment in time that can never be recreated again. At the time, did you realize that people like Andy and Truman and stuff were legends? Did they have the gravitas that they have about them now, or did that come later?
Do you realize that you're a legend?
See, I don't.
Own that?
And do you realize that you're a legend, and do you own that?
Absolutely, it's our job.
Okay.
Each and every one of us.
Did Andy and Truman know at that point that they were?
I'm not inside. What do I know?
Right.
But I would certainly hope so.
Now, another
They
thing.
certainly moved the world. That's for sure.
Now, another thing that I've noticed watching The Queen and watching Trash, I think I just watched recently, it seemed that the queens at the time in the counterculture had an accent, had a really specific way of talking that isn't there anymore. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Monique, darling. Monique was not here as a friend of yours. She's a friend of mine, darling.
Some sort of manner.
Yes, darling. I know exactly what you're talking about, darling.
There was that, but then there was like the Andrea Feldman and some of those, you know, and it doesn't exist anymore. When did that go away, do you think?
I think when we got a little less corny.
But, well, listen, will you do my hand? Will you give me a reading?
I would be a privilege.
Oh, and you do like the tarot cards. And how long have you been psychic for?
Well, I don't know whether it's psychic, but I've been doing tarot cards. I'm 70 now, so probably 50 years. Yeah.
And has it gotten you through some rough patches? Do you charge?
Yes, please.
Okay, so.
Well, you're a born star child, and you have a very strong sense of right and wrong.
It's true.
Your most powerful card is your building card. You're able to make anything happen. You went through a period in your life where you realized that you had to share your dreams. They were only important to you if you were able to share them. And with that realization, you came to be a very happy camper and much more comfortable in your own skin. It's a kind of rite of passage, and it's a very beautiful thing.
It's funny because I don't think that I've been comfortable in my own skin until probably the last 5 or 6 years.
Bingo. These are beautiful cards. This is a very beautiful person.
Well, oh, good. Well, I'm glad. Well, so now, tell me what you're doing with yourself now.
This young man,
this hot young piece right here.
This young man right here is responsible for bringing me out to Los Angeles, putting me up in the most beautiful place and looking after my ass and getting me things to do and bringing me to the privilege of being able to talk to you right now.
Right.
And then when I get back to New York, my Zackary is coming in and we're doing a film together.
Zackary Drucker.
My
gorgeous Zackary. Yes.
My baby.
Who you've known for how long now? How many years have you known him?
Oh, probably 10 years.
And is it one of those things where you started off mentoring him and now he mentors you and you both end up...
I think they all mentor me. I mean, I may be an old fart, but I don't look through the rearview mirror. I try to learn all the time. And these kids are so smart.
You know, this generation right now really does. It surprises every time. Do you go to the balls anymore? Are you still active?
I was just at a ball. The most gorgeous occasion. I mean, the kids are much more of a community now than they were back in the day.
Well, I read a comment that you said, as fabulous as the kids are now, you miss a little bit of the grit from the old days.
Well, you know, I talked to RuPaul. Nico took me to a wonderful secondhand store yesterday, and RuPaul happened to be there. And the most important thing that we found is that Ru's now on the outside of the cage, as opposed to on the inside where the folks throw peanuts and point. Ru's running the show.
Right.
So in that sense, I don't miss the grit one bit.
You know, a lot of people always say to me, you know, as much fun as you had in the 80s or you know, 90s or whatever, do you miss it? And I always say no. Oh my God, I would never go back to it. As much as I love all of the, you know, my past and embrace it and have learned from it and everything, right now is such a spectacular time to be alive, you know? I can imagine living without the technology, without the attitude that people have, the feeling of like being able to be who you want to be.
Well, that's probably the biggest part of it, is that rite of passage and being able to be comfortable in our own skin. And I think where we're going is fabulous. If I see gay marriage on the front page of a newspaper and people are seriously talking about that stuff, I'm a long way, baby.
Well, you know, a lot of it is the kids now are standing on the shoulders of giants, and you are one of those giants.
Well, I stood on the shoulder of giants. There were many queens that we don't know about who were responsible for teaching me and showing me. It's a continuum. I didn't invent any of this stuff, you know.
But who are some of the people who are some of the old girls that you looked up to back in the 60s? You know, I remember there's a book, I Was a White Slave in Harlem.
Right.
Do you know that? By Margo Howard-Howard.
Right.
Yeah. To me, I love those stories of those older people and the things that they went through. It's just fascinating.
Well, I mean, Manette certainly comes to mind. Ty Bennett certainly comes to mind. I mean, Brandy Alexander.
Were these people that you knew that when you looked up to them and then you got to know them and everything?
Yes.
It's funny that, you know, so much of the gay history, you know, it's being taught in colleges and everything now, but a lot of it really isn't, and it's getting lost in the mist, and we need people to tell.
Well, isn't that what you're doing, son?
That's what I'm doing right now, baby.
Thank you. Thank you for that magic. That is so gorgeous.
I love you.